Is this frequency in use? This is Kilo India 5, Delta Oscar Golf, KI5 DOG. My name is David. My station is in the Rio Grande Valley of Deep South Texas. And welcome to this episode of 73 in the RGV. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, June 1st, 2025 for online publication on Sunday, June 1st, 2025. Welcome everyone. As I mentioned, I am KI5 DOG and welcome to 73 in the RGV. Purely an information sharing podcast on the amateur radio community here in the Rio Grande Valley of Deep South Texas. If you're interested, by all means, reach out. We'll put you in contact with those that can help you. And of course, that's what this podcast is about, to share with you some information, on how you can become a fully licensed amateur radio operator. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about making your first contact. That's right. Making your first contact. You got your FCC license in the mail or in your email. You've got your call sign. You have your radio, whether it's a handheld, vehicle, or base station. You have your antenna attached to that radio. You're going to need it. It's non-negotiable. Your radio is programmed with the right frequencies and tone codes. And with all that put together, you're ready to get on the air. You're ready to start talking to people. Yep, it's time to make your first contact. So, how do we do that? Well, that's what we're going to cover today. And folks, it can be very easy. It can be a little stressful if you're not a public speaker or someone who's never spoken out loudly in front of people or you've never pushed a button to talk to everybody. It's okay. It happens. We all get it. I got it. And I do public speaking for a living. But it happens. So the first time, you key up that microphone. So what do you do? Here's some tips, some tricks, some tools, some things that help you along the way. First thing is practice what you're going to say. It doesn't hurt to write it down. It doesn't hurt to write out a quick little script of what you're going to say. This is helpful, especially if you've never spoken publicly or your confidence level is not high. Remember, you made it this far. You decided you wanted to get trained. You got licensed. You took the test. You passed the test. You got licensed. You got the radio. You got everything. So why stop now? Seriously, why stop now? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk you through this. First thing you want to do, and highly recommend, is turn on the radio. You're going to have to have it on to make the contact, right? Otherwise, how are they going to hear you? Now, when you turn it on and you've already set to the frequency you're going to be listening to, listen for a bit. By now, if you've been listening while you've been waiting for your confirmation email to come in that you've received your license and you get your call sign, you're waiting for that email, you should be listening. If you got your radio already, you should be listening to what's going on the net. You should have already programmed your radio. You want to be familiar with what's going on. By now, you should really be familiar with what's happening on the air. What's happening on the air. If there's a net, listen for the protocols. Get familiar with the flow of the conversations. Figure out the pattern, everything that remains the same, the topics and the order they're presented, and where you would fit in when it's your turn to speak. But listen in for a little while. I did for about 2 weeks, and then finally it's like, okay, there's my license. I'm ready to key up the microphone. Now, there's something I want to share with you though. It's not a scheduled net. And there's people talking already. That's what we call, or what they call, or what in amateur radio vernacular is known as a rag chew. Now, rag chew refers to a casual, informal conversation like, chewing the fat or chatting. It's an extended, friendly exchange of thoughts and opinions between radio operators. And in this case, today as I'm recording, I just finished turning off the radio and there was a conversation about seasickness. Yeah, you're going to get all types. It's not all about ham radio. There was about going out to the Gulf of America, going away from Port Isabel, going away, driving out east of Padre Island, and fishing out there, and seasickness and how it occurs and things like that. And so, it happens, and that's fine. Let the conversation flow. Let the conversation flow. Now, again, as I mentioned, this is just a friendly conversation, and then occasionally somebody will chime in. They've got something to add. They got something to say. They'll go into it. Now, As mentioned, rag chewing typically involves a longer, more detailed conversation than just a brief exchange of information. Instead of someone giving them directions, oh well, when you get to the light, turn right at the Valero, and then go on over to the HEB. No, it's a little bit more than that. It's more social interaction. It's about enjoying the company of other radio operators and engaging in a relaxed, informal dialogue. Now, rag chew also serves as a way for ham radio operators to practice the communication skills and test their equipment. I do it every once in a while. I get a new radio, a new handheld, I'm outside, I'll call out. Again, I'm testing the equipment. I'll say, I got this new antenna, I'm trying this out, or I just strung up this new DIY antenna. More on that later on. And again, how am I sounding? And again, that way you know what's going on, and they know what's going on, and you're communicating. But you still have to make that first one. You still have to do it. So you're ready. Everything's nice and quiet. Nobody's there. All you hear is static if you have the squelch off. And it's all good. You're ready. So here, if no one's talking, clear your throat and then push the talk. Yep, you push that push the talk button or keying your microphone. And silently, once you key the microphone, silently count to 1. Why 1? Well, if you're on a repeater network, this allows all the repeater systems, all of the units throughout the network to synchronize, to open up, to broadcast your complete message. So don't key and start talking right away. Somebody down the line is not going to get the full message. So key it, silently count to 1, nice, key 1, talk. There you go. And say your call sign. Say your call sign. And either you could say, this is KI5DOG listening. This is KI5DOG monitoring. Or you can just say KI5DOG and release the microphone to stop transmitting. No one's going to hear, you're not going to hear anybody if you don't release that microphone. So you release the microphone. You called out. There it is. It's out there forever and ever. It's out there moving across the airwaves at the speed of light. And there it is. Now, what if no one responds? Well, there might not be anyone listening. If in your neck of the woods, you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Seriously, who else is up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Oh, sure, a handful of people, but they might be doing other things. So don't give up. Just because they didn't answer right away, don't give up. Try again in a couple of minutes. And if they still don't answer, try again, only louder. No, I'm kidding. Just try again. Maybe pick another, wait 30, 40 minutes. Try again. Eventually, somebody will respond. Somebody will be listening. Somebody will be talking. But what do you do then? What if somebody actually responds to your call sign? This is KI5DOG listening. This is KI5DOG monitoring. Well, they respond. Then continue the conversation. Be mindful of their time, though. Don't let them know, hey, this is your first contact. And it's always cool. Trust me, it's always cool. It's a rare thing, but when it does happen and you happen to be the first contact a new ham radio operator makes, it's a pretty cool thing. You're their friend for life. You are their friend for life. And it happens. So it's pretty cool. You're never going to forget who your first contact was, especially if you log it down. You write it down. We all do. Alrighty. So, again, have that conversation, but just be mindful of their time. Be mindful if you make a contact right before the start of a scheduled net. Yeah, it's going to be a quick one, guaranteed, because, you don't want to slow down the net. You don't want to, stop the net from occurring at the scheduled time. That's why it's scheduled. Also, now when you're transmitting, time flies. Time flies. So don't forget, 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes or so, less than 10 minutes, 8 minutes is my habit, is I identify myself. And you've heard this all your life. You've heard your television station, this is the so-and-so network, this is station, and then they give out their call signs. That's what they have to do. They have to announce who they are. Your radio, when you're listening to the radio, not the internet radio, but the car radio with the antenna, you have to tune the dial. Yep. You're listening to, and then whatever the station is, on AM or on FM or whatever it happens to be. They have to do that. And guess what? You do too. Now you're part of that group. You have to announce your station. And again, you could be in a conversation and then again, just call out your call sign. Now, so the conversation's over. You're done. Everybody's done talking. A little awkward pause. And what do you do? Well, be sure to sign out of the conversation. They could be thinking, oh, he's got something more to say, or she's got something else to say. No, you can sign out. Now you can just say, this is KI5DOG out. Or you could say, this is KI5DOG clear on your final. What does that do? Well, that lets them know that they have the last word. And of course, you could also say, this is KI5DOG standing by. Meaning you're still there, you're still listening, and if somebody else wants to talk to you, they can. You're going to be monitoring. It's that simple. So all done, what next? What do you do when all of that has transpired? Well, it's real simple. Call out again if you need to, if you want to talk to somebody else. Or wait for the net. And when they call out for, depending on how your net is set up down here in the RGV, what our net, our weekly Valley information net, it calls out for short time stations. Now, those are ideally short time. They're in and out. They're just there to say, hey, I checking in and I'm out. I'm fine. That's it. Then there's going to be those for the low power stations, mobile low power, like your HTs, your handy talkies, your walkie talkie, right? Those HTs, mobile drive-in, right? Again, and of course you can go a little bit longer there. And then, of course, traffic for announcements, anybody that's got announcements. And then they do a general call out for anybody who has not checked in and wants to check in. That's pretty much the net. That's it. So where do you fall in? If you're on an HT, you're on a handheld device, you might want to wait. But if you're running short on time or dinner's on the table and they're calling you out to dinner, hey, come on, food's getting cold. You can check in on short time. This is KI5DOG. Nothing to announce, just here for the short. I'm out. That's it. Back to net control. And that's it. So again, listen to the nets, listen to what's going on, and then go from there. But again, folks, it doesn't have to be difficult. Just do a little listening, and when you're comfortable, when you're ready, key up that microphone, count to one, silently count to one. Don't forget, because you want to allow all the repeaters to open up. That way they can broadcast your complete message. Now, one other thing about nets, joining the nets, and we'll go more into detail about that in a different episode, but when they call out, and says, okay, now we're going to take traffic from any station, give it a pause. Typically 1, 2, 3, and then key up the microphone and talk. However, it does happen. So there'll be some individuals that are going to be quick to key up the mic. That'll be quick to key up on the mic. As soon as it says, okay, we'll take calls from any station, immediately they come out with their call sign. This is K, and then whatever their call sign is. Immediately. No, that's not a good way to start. People will call you on it. I've been called on it early, but there's still people that do it, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes if people are in a rush, and we get that. But no, do a little pause, and sometimes wait your turn. And of course, there's also going to be those situations where people are going to step on you. They key up the mic just that micro picosecond right before you key up the mic. And of course, the repeaters pick them up, not you. And you're over there talking, announcing your call sign, and they never heard you. Now, don't be discouraged. That happens to me too, quite a bit. I have gone from short time station to handheld to any station with traffic or announcements. And it's happened each and every time. And it's again, you think you're making the call, you don't hear anybody, you silently count to 3 and you key up the microphone, but then again, someone else is silently counting to 3 and keying up the mic. So again, don't be discouraged. Wait until the end. If they still don't call you, one more time, they'll call again. And they'll call again. So keep listening. You'll get your turn. You'll get a feel for it. Don't feel bad if they miss you on those first couple of tries. But eventually, they're going to open it up to anybody with traffic or announcements. Alrighty. So that's it. It's really simple. Don't worry. We all make mistakes. But hey, that's what this podcast is about, to help share with you some of the information that it takes to get on there and start having a great time. Join our community. We welcome you. Everybody welcomes you. Everybody that's listened to the podcast, everybody that I've talked to about it, it's like, yeah, no. And of course, my own experience, yes, it is a very welcoming group. Alrighty. So next episode, you've got a call sign. You're not feeling it. You're not feeling it. Well, you might want to get a vanity call sign. And getting a vanity call sign that's what I use. That's the process that I'm going to share with you in the next episode. How I went from Kilo India 5, India Zulu Charlie, right? KI5 IZC, exactly. India Zulu Charlie IZC to KI5 DOG. Much better, right? So we'll talk about that, how to get a vanity call sign, in the next episode. Alrighty, let's get on over to our upcoming events. This information is drawn from the various web and social media sources out there. And of course, if there's an event or project or program or testing dates on your schedule, and I do not mention it here, please feel free to drop me a note at ki5dog@yahoo.com. That's Kilo India 5 Delta Oscar Golf at yahoo.com. Now, let's get on with it. From the RIOARC.org website, the Rio Arc, ARRL, the Amateur Radio Relay League Field Day 2025 is going to be on the 28th and 29th of June, at the end of this month. And the Rio ARC will be at the Spotted Sea Trout Park in Rio Hondo, Texas from 1 p.m. till about 5 p.m. that Saturday, the 28th. Just look for the Rio ARC banner. Also, be on the lookout for more information on that event coming soon here. Let's see. Again, from the RIOARC.org website, the breakfast every Wednesday at 8 a.m. at Los Leones in La Feria, Texas. Every Saturday at 8 a.m. at Tejano Grill in Harlingen, Texas. And the monthly club meeting, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. the second Tuesday of each month, except December, at the Harlingen Irrigation District. That's 301 East Pierce Avenue in Harlingen, Texas. And as always, members and guests are welcome and encouraged to attend all meetings, breakfast, and public events. Again, so if you're interested and you're curious, head on out there. Alrighty. What have we got? The Whiskey 5 Romeo Golf Victor website. We've got w5rgv.org website, the Valley Information Net on the Stars Link repeater system every single day, 7 p.m. Central Time. All amateurs are welcome to participate. Now, speaking of the Valley Information Net and the Whiskey 5 RGV, we got a message from who we like to call Dr. Dave, but we also know as K5RAV, Kilo 5 Romeo Alpha Victor. And he shares with us about the Valley Information Net. The Valley Information, little history, which is pretty cool. I didn't know this. The Valley Information Net was established in the late 1980s as a weekend net, but due to its popularity, it quickly became a 7-day-a-week net, and the only 7-day-a-week net in the Rio Grande Valley. Originally, the Valley Information Net played a news line on Sunday, and the only source for the broadcast was via a phone patch. K5RAV constructed an interface and provided it along with a Kenwood VHF radio to the first network control station, or NCS, and that was K5VC in Brownsville. And K5VC is Bob Austin. Bob was a dedicated NCS operator and remained as an NCS for several years. Eventually, additional NCS operators were recruited, and the Valley Information Network continued as it does today, a 7-day-a-week net. The Rio Grande Valley amateur radio operator community is filled with new technicians who have not had much experience in the amateur radio operations and only know a little radio technology. They want to expand the knowledge, but often do not know how to ask amateur radio technology. How to ask as an amateur radio technology can be overpowering in its depth and volume. That's true. The bottom line is that many of the local amateur radio operators are just humans and are in the process of learning amateur radio techniques and electronic technology at their own pace. Mentioning from time to time that net participants can assist with technical questions and offer suggestions might encourage more amateur operators to participate. Oh my goodness. And to help. It's always a good thing to be supportive of newcomers, as new amateurs are often reluctant to jump into the deep water. Now remember, we are all volunteers. We can opt in or we can opt out. Now please do your best to invite operators to opt in and expand participation in the Valley Information Net. As an NCS, you're an ambassador to the amateur radio, for amateur radio, and NCS operator for over 40 years. Valley Information Net and a dedicated amateur radio volunteer. Wow, there we go. Now that's to all the NCSs out there. And this is an impressive list and puts you in a very specific category of amateur radio operators. So thank you for using the valuable time to contribute to STARS and the amateur radio community. Through your dedicated efforts, you make amateur radio a better service and you increase the enjoyment of amateur radio by those who check in to the Valley information. Well, thanks again there, Dr. Dave. A little history, a little call to action. That's always a good thing, especially when you can mix both of those together. So definitely. And yeah, I've had my stint as an SES. And we'll talk about that at a different time. So again, that's the, for more information, visit the Whiskey 5 RGV or Romeo Golf Victor.org, Whiskey 5 RGV or W5RGV.org website. Now from the RGVARC.org, the District 3 Aries net every Thursday. There's a net every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on the Rio Link repeater system. Simplex Sunday every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time on the 146.52 megahertz frequency, which is also the national Simplex calling frequency in the United States for amateur radio. The net control is a good friend of the 73 in the RGV, and that would be Kilo Z5 Delta November Alpha or KZ5 DNA. That's right. Alrighty, we also have Rag Chew Monday every Monday on that on the RGV ARC, and every Monday at 6 p.m. on the Rio Link repeater system. The net controller again, good friend of 73 in the RGV, KZ5 DNA. Kids, my voice. Here we go. Alrighty, there we go. Alrighty, so again, join us there as well. All right, let's see. The breakfast every Saturday at 10 a.m. at the Junction Cafe at the southeast corner of Business 83 and Cage Boulevard, State Highway 281 in Pharr, Texas. And as always, the invitation goes out to all technician, general, and amateur extra license holders that want to talk about amateur radio, their journey into this hobby, and anything else ham radio related. Please do not hesitate. Drop me an email at ki5dog@yahoo.com. ki5dog@yahoo.com. As always, a special invite to amateur radio club officers or public affairs representatives to join me on this podcast to share the latest happenings, actions, and activities. Righty. So again, if you're on the cusp, you're not too sure, you got questions, we got answers, and if I don't know the answer, I definitely know people. I know people in the amateur radio community, so by all means, I'll get them to answer. Alrighty, let's see. What else have we got? Lastly, if you're not yet a licensed amateur radio operator, please protect the airwaves by keeping the pirate in you at bay. Yes, piracy or transmission by unlicensed individuals or parties is a federal crime, punishable, which includes up to fines of up to $10,000 and or imprisonment for 1 year, with increased penalties for subsequent violations. Folks, it's not worth it. Don't do it. Don't be tempted. Get a license and then hop on board. Join us. We welcome you. But until you get that license, do not key up that mic. Get licensed. Join this awesome community. It's a great group of people. All right, listen, I want to thank you for joining us today. We hope you come back off and remember the next episode. We're going to talk about the vanity call sign. And we got other topics we're going to talk about, but that's different down the road. Now, listen, I'm going to return this frequency back to regular amateur use. Until next time, this is 75 in the RGV, and I am Kilo India 5 Delta Oscar Golf, clear on your final 73.